In this Blender tutorial, you will learn how to speed up your render process. It is important to keep in mind certain things before making any changes to the render settings. Actually, in one of the video comment, a guy told me to create a video about render settings. So that's why I'm creating this video. I have set up a new Discord server, so if you haven't joined, just join quickly. We can discuss and share about Blender there, and you can ask any questions you may have. Since there are only 2 subscribers in my channel, I have created 2 categories, one for Tamil and one for English. If you have any question about your project, feel free to post them and ask for help. I will assist you, and other people in Discord will also be able to help you, so don't hesitate to join soon. First, try to keep polygons count in your control. If any object is not getting more focus in the camera view, then just model that object in a low poly. That's how you can control the polygons count. Secondly, if you have made your own material using a shader editor for multiple objects, simply bake it as a texture map and then add it. After adding textures to a large character or any hard surface modeling object, just UV render properly, then bake it into a texture map. After that, add that to your object. It will definitely reduce the render time. And make sure your textures are appropriate for use, and try to avoid using unnecessarily larger textures, which can slow rendering and consume excess memory. By following this method, rendering time can be significantly reduced. Object instancing. Instead of creating duplicate object with Shift D, consider using the shortcut Alt D to decrease memory usage and speed up rendering. Object instancing has been found to significantly increase rendering speeds in Blender by more than 600%. Now switch the render settings from EV to cycle. By default, the device option is set to CPU, but it can be changed to GPU. The option may appear as a dark gray color, indicating that it may not work. Then go to edit preference in the system. Remember, if your graphics card has a compute capability of 5.0 or higher, you will see an option here. Currently it may appear black, but under the CUDA option, you can see my graphics card name and it is enabled. If your graphics card has a compute capability of 3.0 and above, you will find your option in here. Now my GPU option is changed into a light gray, that means it will work. Based on your graphics card compute capability, you can select the option here. Noise threshold. The error threshold that determines whether to keep a sampling a pixel. Currently the threshold is set to 0.01. However, changing it to 0.1 can decrease the rendering time. I have tested this and found that a value of 0.1 works completely fine, but feel free to adjust the values as needed. Samples. The best number is 128. It will be good HD render image. However, if you are considering rendering in 4K resolution, you may need to increase the number of samples to 300, 500 or even more depending on your computer performance. Denoise. Denoise feature is enabled by default. This feature helps improve noisy image by transforming them into a clean render image with no noise. It also helps reduce render time by using fewer samples. Advanced. Click on the clock icon in the seed setting under advanced sampling to introduce variability in noise pattern from frame to frame. This creates a more natural look while reducing the appearance of static noise in your renders. Light path. Because of the cycles, we get natural light effect and bounces on the wall and other objects. It looks so realistic. The problem with realism is that it requires longer rendering times. Light bounces are one of the most significant cause of a slow rendering. The default setting in total is 12, but anywhere between 3 and 8 will give you the same amount of realism. So reduce it. So if you never use any glossy or transmission, you can just reduce it. Then it will even reduce the render time. Caustics. By increasing the filter glossy settings, it will smooth out noise in glossy materials, further lowering the required sample rates and speeding up your renders. It has been observed that filter glossy speed up cycles render by up to 4%, so I'm going to increase value up to 5. And disable reflective and refractive because there won't be more changes. I checked it. If you need, you can keep it up, enable, but I will disable it for now. Fast GI approximation. By enabling this option, it will speed up global illumination calculation while maintaining visually pleasing results. You can often achieve a 20% increase in render speed with minimal quality loss. Simplify. This option allows you to globally reduce scene complexity, including particles, texture size, and subdivision, resulting in faster renders. Camera culling. By enabling this option, it won't render the object which is not in the camera view. You can drastically reduce render times for larger scenes. Persistent data. By enabling this option, the first frame of your scene is calculated and cached. The frames that follow rely on the cached data from the first frame. This can speed up your render by up to 5% because your scene elements are no longer calculated in each frame. Color management. We have view transform and look to option. By changing the options, we will get some difference in our render image. For now, I'm not going to change anything because default is good for me. But I'm going to show you some render image that by changing this option, you will get this result. Changing file output format. While doing animation short film, that time definitely we will save render image in a PNG format, but from PNG to either TIFF or OpenEXR can significantly speed up Blender's rendering process. By changing this option, we can save hours on longer animation renders. If you ever going to make your own film in Blender, don't forget to try this method. Render region and crop to render region. I already told these two options in before video. Render region means it renders just a portion of the view instead of the entire frame. And crop to render region means it crops the rendered image to the size of the render region instead of rendering a transparent background around it. There is another interesting thing, that is whenever we completed our 3D modeling, we will render it to check how it looks. That time based on the samples count, longer time it will take to render that image. So just reduce the percentage amount 30 or 32 like that, then render it. We will get low quality render image, but it is just for to check. If you find any mistake, rectify it or make the percentage back to 100 and render it. And disable this option too, because I said about the camera culling, right? By enabling the camera culling, and if the render region and crop to render region option also enabled, then your render time will increase like 10 or 15 seconds. I checked it. So if you enable the camera culling option, just disable the render region and crop to render region. Actually, I found this option recently only because a guy told me about create a video for render settings. So that time I started to learn about the every option in the render region. That time only I found this. By doing this, it will reduce up to 10 seconds or even more based on the sample value you are giving. That's all about the render settings. Now I'm going to show you two render images. First one is I'm going to put samples 128 and I'm not going to enable or change any option what I just said, and I will render it. Then I'm going to change all the changes in my render settings just I have set, so we can see how longer it will take. The first render image took nearly 3 minutes without changing single render options, but at the same time the second render image it just took 31 seconds to render it. By changing the options what I have said, you can clearly see the first image took 3 minutes, but after changing this option it just took 31 seconds to render it. That's all about the render settings. I hope you all take a notes about the tip. Definitely this render settings will help you.